Hey guys, it's Vanessa from Farmgirl Gardens and Market, and today we're talking about growing potatoes. Now, in the last video we discussed the chitting process, which is the process where you take a seed potato, you encourage and promote sprout production, and then you actually divide the potatoes such that there is a ratio of eyes to inch segment, and so typically that's 2 for 2, or 2 eyes per every 2 inches of cut potato. I did want to go ahead and show you just the example of that. I did have to go ahead and get the ones that we did in the video in the ground a few weeks back because there was just so much rain, and in Texas, in our region, when it rains it pours, and it kind of makes it a little difficult to get potatoes in the ground because you want to make sure they're in the ground for a few days before it rains for a week solid. Otherwise there's a potential that they could rot in the ground because they haven't formed their roots yet. So that being said, just to recap, once you've chitted your potato, you're going to go ahead and plant it. And the way that you'll plant that is you're just going to make sure that the sprout side's up and that you're leaving a good amount of that up so that these leaves can go ahead and utilize sunlight to produce their energy and their sugars. I want to go ahead and take you in and show you in the potato gardens the next steps though. So once you've, I'm sorry, my roosters are happy. Once you have planted your potato in a few weeks, you'll start to see growth like this. And something that's important to remember on the potato is that you are going to continue to mound either soil or a soil substrate medium on top of the new top growth every 2 weeks as a continual practice until the potato gets to about 18 to 20 inches. And the reason for that is the way that the potato grows is actually along this stem, all of these little branches, in kind of the armpit of those branches, that's where the potato will send out its root network, and off of the nodes on those root network is where the little potato spud will form, and those will grow laterally to the plant. And so that only occurs within the first 16 to 18 inches of the plant. Once it has grown past that point, it's just putting on leaves, and so there's really no need to continue to mound soil, compost, or straw over top of it. But it's whatever your medium will be that you will use. The point of it is to not impede the developing spud's ability to spud out and form a larger potato. And so, you want a nice, loose, friable soil. I'm actually had the great fortune of getting to clear out my goat pen, and so I have a perfect ratio of goat manure to straw that I'm actually going to cover on top of. A lot of people actually will use sawdust. If you are going to use sawdust and you are growing for food, I do recommend that you consider where the wood product originally came from. So was it chemically treated versus heat treated? Try and see if you can figure that information out before you would grow food in sawdust. Man, they're so loud. I don't know if you can see, but I've got my chicken compost. This is my chicken garden, so it's adjacent to the chicken coop. It's one of my permaculture systems, and we've got just basically our family's personal lettuce and like consumption needs in here. So I'm trying to turn you around. But I compost, this is one of my compost systems on site, and the chickens are all right there. But I'm going to take you into the potatoes, and as I was discussing earlier, this is kind of that armpit on the plant. This is where it'll send out that lateral root network, and the potatoes will form here. And so again, we are going to continue to cover these guys up throughout the course of the next month to 2 months until we get to that height. And then the next steps are just to wait for the potatoes to mature. Now, the benefit of growing your own spuds is that they are edible at any point in their life cycle. And so if you want to harvest them small and you want to make like the really fun, like crispy fried small petite French style potatoes, you can do that. If you want to leave them in the ground until they get to be the big baker size, you can do that too. Now, the type of potato you plant will also indicate the best culinary use, but because you can harvest it and eat from it at any point in its maturity, you really get to have fun with it. And something that most people don't know if they haven't grown potatoes is that when you are eating a grocery store potato, it has been dried out, it's pretty dehydrated, and so you get kind of a mealy texture. When you have a potato that you have just literally pulled out of the earth and now you're cooking it for supper, it is so, the water, the moisture content is so much higher that it has like a really creamy consistency and texture to it. So it's really fun to grow them, and I recommend that you do. This is just, you know, one method of in-ground planting, but I do want to kind of show you some of the method behind the madness here. Again, potatoes are they're a root bulb plant, right? So they require a lot of food and a lot of energy because they're putting a lot of energy and nutrition into the end product. And so the goat manure is a really good choice. Rabbit manure would be as well. Any of the rudimentary systemed animals are great because pretty much by the time it's worked its way through the animal's organs, it's well and almost compost at that point. But I'm just going to be taking handfuls of this material and putting it over my plant and building up that amount of top growth. And I'm just going to be monitoring this, and basically, you know, every 2 weeks you're going to need to do something like this. You don't want to get more than, you know, 3 to 4 inches of top growth without covering it back over. You can absolutely just use soil if you have an abundance of good quality garden soil. I don't in Texas, and we have lots of clay, and so not only is this a material that is useful in the garden, but it would actually be considered a waste material in you know, maintaining my goats. But since I have them worked into this permaculture system where I have livestock supporting growing and growing supporting livestock and end products supporting compost, which makes, you know, the green grass grow all around and around, that is one of the beauties and benefits in permaculture, is that even your waste products are actually resources. So I hope that that has been helpful in, you know, showing you how I grow potatoes in ground. I do have a video from a long time ago about how to grow them in towers. I probably will redo that one just so that it's a better quality. And if you have any potato growing questions, go ahead and leave them in the comments. I hope that you're well and that you are off to growing your greens. And until next time, bye y'all.